Hey guys, today I have a pretty interesting video for you, and we're going to be going over the Furious Torrent, how to prepare for it, because it's going to be here probably next month, I would assume. So we have like a couple weeks prep, and I kind of wanted to give you guys kind of some input on some teams you want to have, and some ways to get ready for it. First of all, the Furious Torrent, the stage that it's in is probably the most beautiful stage in the game. And the boss is actually really interesting. It's probably my favorite Codex boss after this one. It's probably my second favorite boss in Codex already, just from what I've seen, and it's really, really hyped. So for the first things I kind of have to go over that you will need is the heroes. So the heroes, it's going to boil down to primarily marksmen, okay? Because the way that the boss works is the boss will be in the middle. It summons tridents around it, and whenever you break the tridents, it both does a lot of damage to the boss, and also it stops the boss from doing as much damage to you. Okay, so whenever a certain amount of tridents are down and you don't kill them in time, the boss will deal more damage to you, basically. So you're trying to kill those, and the reason why that's kind of hard sometimes is because the boss will spawn a basically an endless wave of flying units, kind of like the ones you would see in Grade 3. And they kind of swarm around, they eat up all your hits, and then you end up not being able to do a lot of damage. And the way to counter that is AoE marksman. So I'm really going to struggle because I'm missing the best AoE marksman for this. So let's just go over the options. Obviously there's like 4 or 5 of them, but the best one that I have seen, especially when awakened, is Nyx. So Nyx does insanely high damage. She has pretty good awakenings. This is really good. Increased range when killing an enemy. You're going to be killing a lot of freaking enemies. Has a chance to inflict basically double hits. It's a lot of damage. So Nyx is amazing for this. I would highly recommend maxing her and using her. Another good option though is Razak. Razak, I actually have A3, or I could get him A3, and I will be getting him A3 because his A5 basically makes it so his ult gets cast twice. And the good thing about his ult is even if there's enemies in front of him, if he ults, he'll still be able to damage the tridents because it's like a big AoE instead of that kind of hits in an area, instead of one that only hits a certain amount of pierce or a certain amount of enemies. So he will actually hit the tridents even if he's unable to kill the flying guys in front of the tridents. So if you can proc this, it's a little RNG. You might be able to break the tridents earlier and then not lose. But yeah, so Razak is great. He does a lot of AoE damage. He has a lot of AoE abilities, and he's just great. And also another thing to note is he's part of the Piercer faction, which is good, and I will get to that in a second. And then the other AoE marksman you can use is Pelagios. He's not great because the enemies resist magic damage a little bit, and you want more piercing damage instead of magic. But I have seen him used. I was watching a little bit of a stream Fastidious did at some point where he played it on Forerunner, and Ray was actually using Pelagios, although his was A5, and he kind of works with his true damage and stuff, but he's just not the best option. And then I think the last AoE marksman is Maul. So Maul is not Piercer, but you can actually use him properly, which is good. He does pretty good damage, a lot of splash, and his ult comes back very, very fast. And he also has a lot of CC, which is great. So Maul is an amazing option if you don't have many better options. He's not in the top teams, but that's okay. And then if we're looking through here, Hatsit is also pretty good. The main issue with Hatsit is she cannot hit the tridents at all. But she's really good at clearing, especially with her ultimate, because it hits everywhere around her. Even though they come down one lane, her ultimate will still hit a lot of things. You can still do pretty good damage to the flying guys, so she is a decent option. She's not that great. I would rate her like A- or B+ for this stage, but she's a great option too. A lot of you guys are probably going to ask me if Kratch is good, and the answer is no. He can't even hit the tridents at all. And he just doesn't do a lot of damage. If he's A5 and you have like a max exclusive, maybe. But still. Those are all of the AoE marksmen I wanted to cover, except for Kai. So Kai also is really good here. He's kind of similar level to Pelagios, I'm pretty sure, because he is the worst legendary AoE marksman. But he does do piercing damage, and he has a chance to ultimate twice. Like when he ults, he has a chance to get it back, and then he's able to ult again. Pretty hype. So I got Kai recently. I'll have the summoning video later, but I got Kai recently. I will be maxing for this, so I will be personally using Kai and Razak and probably Maul. But now that we've covered the AoE marksman, we have to go over the musts that are not AoE marksman. So there are a couple units that aren't AoE marksman that you will kind of want. One of those is pretty obvious. It is Dolores. In any content where you need to be doing a lot of damage in a certain period of time and you just need a lot of wave clearing potential, Dolores is amazing. The way that the stage is formatted makes it so that she can only be around 2 other units, but she brings Invig, she brings inspiration boosting. She's going to be great, really helpful. So what you want to do is you want to put one of your best AoE marksmen, so either Razak or Nyx ideally with high awakenings, whoever does more damage. You want to put them by Dolores, and then you want to put also Silas. So Silas is kind of a must here, or he's just really good. Because he does a lot of damage to the boss, and he also just does a lot of freaking damage in general. If you don't have Silas, it's manageable. You do not need Silas for this. It's because most of the damage to the boss will be from the tridents anyways, so you're just trying to beat those with the AoE. But Silas does a lot of damage to the boss, so you could pair him with Dolores, for example, or you could put 2 AoE marksmen with Dolores. It doesn't really matter too much, but just keep in mind that Silas is great. And then after we have those, we have potentially the most important thing that you will essentially always have to have, and that's Piercer Lords. So there are 3 Piercer Lords in the game. One of them is not out yet on global, which I will talk about in a second. But those other 2 are, we have Lunaria. Where the hell is Lunaria? We have Lunaria. Lunaria is fine. She only gives you the extra tile on her Lord skill and also boosts your basic attributes. Lunaria will be pretty essential, and the good thing about Lunaria is you can actually use her as a unit for damage. She's not going to do a lot of damage because once again, magic marksman, blah blah blah. So she's not great, but she will be very helpful on Forerunner out of the top 100, which is a lot less competitive than it will be on global, especially in the US servers. There was only 1 person not using a Piercer Lord at all, and that was kind of a miracle, and it was below where you would expect it to be. It was like top 80 or something. So I very strongly doubt that you can get top 100 or even close to it without a Piercer Lord. And Araka obviously is the best one because her Lord bonus is really good. For every 1 tile away from the target, increases their damage. But the thing is, the lane is kind of close to you, so you're not getting that much of a bonus to this. But she still does boost you a lot, and although there is no place to place her, she's still worth having. You know, she's going to help a ton. But when Yovar comes out, Yovar will be meta. Yovar does like the same damage Silas would do or something stupid like that, and also has a more useful Lord skill for the fight. And also it's like an actual unit you could place and who does a lot of damage. So just keep that in mind. Some other options just quickly is basically anything that does piercing damage. Brienne might be okay if you don't have better options. Theowin will probably be pretty good. Idril I don't see being very good. Allura is probably going to be trash. Sargak will probably put in some decent amount of work, although he will die pretty fast, so that's not good. Esme could be useful, although she is single target. You just kind of want AoE damage. I do not think mages will be useful. Personally, I could be wrong, but I really do not think something like a comet would be useful, for example. I don't think so. If anyone does find a use for them, props to you, but I strongly doubt that. I think this is going to be one of the first bosses in a while where Praetus is not amazing, which is great, because I don't like it when they make content based around Praetus to make him better than he should be, even though he already is like the best unit in the game. I just don't like that, so I'm glad they're not doing it. Some other things are you cannot place any ground units, so just ignore the fact that those exist. You do not need a healer. You want to focus more on damage and consistent, strong AoE damage. So that's very important. Those are the units that are going to help you a lot. Just focus the AoE marksman, those being Maul, Nyx, Razak, Kai, Pelagios. And then if you're struggling a little bit, there are other options. Just experiment, honestly. It's a new stage. There's still a potential for the stage to change in the future, as the devs sometimes change it. So it is hard to say if it will consistently be this way, but it's fine. Also, I think it's hilarious that they made it so you can't actually place anyone on the ground, and this would be content that Absent would actually not be trashing, and they just designed the stage so you can't place Absent, and it's so funny. Rip Absent. Absent is F tier, truly. That's everything that I have for you guys today. Just make sure to prep for those stages, and just prep as best you can, see where it goes, and I wish you guys the best of luck. I will have some content once it's out. Hopefully they don't change it too much. Another thing to note is that we have an Abizu shard summoning event pretty soon. It all kind of got revealed today, so just a heads up that this exists. Pretty basic ancient summoning, and then we have a new hero and a comment banner. As we the first time we've had a 10/15x for one of the new epics, which is pretty cool. And then we got the shard summoning. Abizu is really good, far better than Aeon, so I highly recommend going for her. But that's about it from me. Thank you guys for watching, and best of luck with anything you guys are doing. So, Destined, signing out.